This show is officially brought to you by NRG Tree. Check them out if you want to own your own solar. That's NRG
Tree
at nrgtree.com.
Reality,
UFOs,
science,
consciousness.
sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
That might not be a real thing. The podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone else in between, classify or categorize yourself how you will. Welcome back to the show. I'm the Candyman, aka the hung guy with the fungi, hanging out with Danny Demonic and Sean Macka. Special guest on the show today, long time friend. You go ahead, Sean. You take it.
Oh, long time.
long
I don't
time.
think he can think right now.
Let me take a break.
Long time friend of
We just started.
Macka.
Let me take a break.
Long time friend of Macka. You guys.
We go back
They go back
to
It's
the early
Michael.
the early aughts.
Michael Z. Is that your?
Many.
I'm aware of. I know how to spell it. But
Mike T.
people call you Mike Z, right?
So yeah, some
So it's
people call
Mikey
me Z.
Tzanetakos with
Yeah.
T.
Yeah,
Z.
yes, sir.
That's how Greeks do it. Okay, except Peter Tzanetakos does it with a TS. Correct. So anyway, both handsome guys.
That must
Mikey's.
cause a lot of problems, like with regular, like
School,
wonder-bred people.
aren't
right?
ready for it. They're not ready for it. But
Can't say
welcome to the show. Mikey's longtime friend of Macka. Him and I recently became pretty good friends over the last couple of years. Michael won the New England Cannabis Cup in the Indica category. And you are the head grower currently at Ideal Cannabis in Uxbridge, Mass.
Yes, sir. That is all correct.
So I have the facts.
You have the facts correct. You did your homework.
All right. So I wanted Mike to come on the show because I was like, dude, been friends with this guy for a long time. You and I now know each other. You've had what I consider to be like a almost like a cliche grower's journey from like, what was the song you had on earlier?
The song I was playing earlier was called "Real Weed Music," and it's
Who's the guy that produced it, sings it?
his name's Garth Hudson, but he goes by the moniker Garth Cultivator.
Garth Cultivator. Well, let me tell you, the minute the guy started laying it down, he was talking about living in a tent for 7 months and like sleeping with a shotgun and like being out in Cali. Like you'd basically got into growing weed, figured like, yo, I like this. Back in the day, it was like still drugs and a stigma. And so you had to deal with that whole negative shit of everyone talking shit, talking trash, being like, oh,
You
this
must
guy.
have liked smoking weed first, though, right?
I mean-
just like smoking weed.
Yeah, 100%. Man.
Okay.
From
Where it all starts.
from
Yeah.
a very
you
young
don't grow it
age.
if you don't like smoking it. Like I wouldn't think to do it because I just,
That's how I got into it.
Growing definitely was not the first thing that came from weed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was. It's just been a long journey. I'm 42 right now. I smoked my first joint when I was 13, and
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Imagine how much the culture.
I feel like
changed
you
then,
were one of my earliest friends that did smoke weed, and I was still scared.
yeah,
do it.
no, I was introduced to it in the most random way. I was on vacation by myself in South Carolina with my cousin.
You do not want to get arrested down there during that era for drugs
Dude,
of any kind.
We're talking 1993.
Yeah.
And so it's my cousin Brian. He's a year older, or he's 2 years older than me.
High school.
Yeah, he's in high school for
Bingo.
sure. And he's from Florida, but his dad's married to my cousin, and they live in South Carolina. So, I'm
Sorry to throw you under the bus, cuz.
Yeah. So he's not here anymore, man. So it's okay. I can tell this story. So he takes me down. We meet all these people at the town square, and this one of his buddies, I literally don't remember his name, but this dude takes us into his station wagon and drives us probably 2 miles out into the middle of the woods because that was the safe place to smoke weed.
Sketchiest fucking. I mean, if you're a kid from the 80s, the only reason you even got in the car is because it was a station wagon, not a van. If that was a van, there's no way you were getting in there.
Yeah. So, the first time I smoked a joint, I probably definitely did not get stoned. It was some straight, some super swag.
Oh, it's probably shit.
Throat roasting. It hurt my throat so bad. Coughed. The whole stigma, except I did not get stoned the first time.
You were also probably loaded with adrenaline from fear of being raped in the woods in the South.
I wonder why a lot of people don't get stoned the first time.
I don't know.
I think it's. I thought about it the other day. And I was like, I don't think they inhale it. That's the only. I mean, you have to be able to. Like, there's no way it doesn't get you stoned if you do it right. So, like...
No, right. There's not, like, some barrier that, like, you have to pop a cherry before it starts to get
right.
stoned.
I think it's just they don't ingest it properly.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's probably what it was.
Like, it tasted gross, and your body's like...
And it's probably shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this.
My throat was on fire. I probably took 2 puffs. I was done. But there was something about it that when I came back to town from there, I kind of was seeking it, So... pretty much immediately it went to I could sell this because
I think that's the first thing people get into. But like before growing, I think you get into selling, and then you're like, hey, I could just make more money if I grew it myself. But yeah,
it didn't scale like that for me. I sold it for a long time before I ever grew or knew what I was doing with the plants. But it started super young, you know what I mean? It was basically cliche, funny shit, It's like first bag of weed I ever sold was to 3 cheerleaders. And I was like, dude, I can meet chicks like this super easy. Like
awesome.
And they're paying me.
It's one of the main reasons It's one of the main reasons I got into it.
I'm
100%. Like, it's like 80% of the reason.
It's so stupid that it's kind of how that whole thing occurred. But then obviously I was super attracted to the easy money first. It was just
come a little bit closer.
It was all bad. Right off the rip, it was just very appealing to me.
Oh, dude, we used to make bank back in the day.
Yeah, for sure. So
there's no dispensaries. It was different.
Just for people that don't know about the sweet back to the black market shirt, by the way. Humboldt.
Sonny Wong, artist up in Humboldt County.
It's a dope shirt.
Oh, that is cool. I didn't even notice that before.
For those of you who don't know about like the game,
market.
Right? Like if you're in the black market, you're in the cannabis industry, let's say like 15 years ago, we were getting like 5,000-6,000 a pound, right? Now it's like a fist fight to get like 14.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like it's way more expensive to grow it, get it, blah, blah, blah. There's way more of it around.
1,400?
Yeah.
It's not for a pound now?
Yeah. Like if
it's just because there's so much, it's like supply and demand?
It's just, it's part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. There's a shit ton of it out there.
It used to be a lot more expensive back in the day.
Oh, like craziest prices I ever got, 05, 06, $7,200.
A pound.
A pound, yeah.
Yeah.
Cash,
baby.
Cash in hand, happy.
See you later.
Dude's super happy, bought more
Take
of it.
the rest of the week, go have a good time.
Yeah.
Would people
Take
buy that
next
just
week
for
off,
personal
too.
use?
It was like dispersed through like a small group of friends who all really were into exotic weed that was not from around here.
Yeah.
So when did you move out to Cali is what I want to know. How old were you?
I was 27, just about to turn 28, and
06, 07.
So I had moved.
Legal, at least medical was out there by then.
Yeah, for over 10 years.
Thriving.
For about 10 years.
Like Oaksterdam and those places were still getting raided by the feds, but for all intents and purposes, they had some kind of medical marijuana shit going out there. But like Humboldt County was like the mecca for growing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's like the spot.
Yeah. And I love that place, man. I owe those communities up there everything. They did so much for me and produced by far the best quality product in the United States. Easy. And
they're still producing good shit, right?
People name their product
they're
lines
producing the best,
after them, I mean, Yeah, they have respect of the community, street credit. So
Yeah, man, they just did so much for me. Like just all the communities up there. Just I owe everything to those people. But yeah, I mean, I started young, started selling. It scaled over time, and then when I was 27, I had moved out to Humboldt, and the first week I was out there, I came back home to perform in a motorcycle stunt show that I was doing. I was traveling around and doing motorcycle stunt shows. So I fly home and I got busted in a raid because I was
I'm familiar with this tale. This is where you hit this is where your name really hits the town scene, and like, this guy's a drug dealer. He sells the weed.
Yeah.
He became one of the big, like, 3 big names in the area at that point, and everybody, I mean, you were on everyone's radar.
Oh yeah,
Lit up hard.
Yeah.
People were talking.
They got me, and they got me dead to rights that day. They had me under investigation for 6 months.
Oh, you didn't notice it?
I did.
You knew somebody who's following you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It was they were on me big time.
Man, when you're
All for selling marijuana.
when you're a grandpa
For weed.
someday, you're gonna look back at that and be like, man, those were the days. That was the Wild West.
Yeah. You know, it sucked at the time. Don't get me wrong.
Hey, believe me, I know all about it.
It definitely sucked at the time.
Was it the FBI or the cops?
It
state
was
cops.
definitely.
You guys were doing what, shipping pounds from Cali back into Dracut, and they had the Dracut PD was like all over it, and they got the state police involved. It was a big case for the town.
It was a big thing because it was like a little bit more sophisticated, and they had trouble figuring it out. Luckily for everybody in the long run, the way that I had everything structured and built up. The problem was other people kind of did their own thing without telling me.
Protocols.
They broke
Standard operating procedure and safety protocols.
Yeah, and
that's when people go down.
Shit happened. Man. You know what I mean? It was what it was, and that's just what it was. But yeah, we were shipping pounds for a while. I can say it now. It was way out of the statute of limitations and everything. So it's like we were doing it like way longer than they.
Is that your first bust?
That's my only bust.
How much did they catch you with?
Nice.
Like,
literally 1 pound.
that's it?
Yeah.
They did that whole thing for 1 pound?
Well, like, they didn't know when they bust you. They don't know what you got.
That's true. But they hoping to get like more, probably. I'm sure, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So
What do you think? They're going for it.
so they got 6 of us on the same day. I just didn't know the other people were
Those little piggies. They fucking hungry.
I didn't realize that other people were working, and I was just home for the weekend and sent a pound home. just trying to smoke super
trying
good.
to help out.
How did they get
Buddy,
turned on to you guys?
Small town, marijuana was
That's
still
the thing?
high. Marijuana was
Yeah.
still drugs.
So there was
Snitches get stitches.
someone outside of my circle had like done their cousin a favor and shipped some work to somebody. That person had gotten caught and never told anybody, but he told on everybody.
Oh,
So that started the whole investigation, and then
fucking folded.
My first bust. I'm renting an apartment on the boulevard, and I've got the entire fucking place full of weed. Okay, I mean everything. The kitchen.
Can I just say the show got a lot more interesting than I expected it to be? Like, I thought we were just going to talk about like cannabis, like
Nah, man, we're talking
the
about
criminal
the life.
element behind
We're
it.
talking about the life,
Oh, it's
man.
great.
We're talking
Okay,
about the
keep
life,
going.
baby.
Sorry, keep going. I love this.
Now Mikey's legit. He runs a place. That's the point. He's had the journey. But like, yo, my first bust, right? I got the whole place full of cannabis, right? The whole fucking place. The
whole apartment, right?
Flood tables set up. No furniture, no nothing. Where the TV should be on the wall or wherever, I got a picture of a local guy from Drake. It happens to be named Paulinus. He's in a blown up. He's in like a bathing suit, and he's like a fat 60-year-old man, so his belly's hanging out on the beach, and he's tanning. And like my mom got a photo of him, and my dad thought it would be funny to blow this up and put Drake's Sexiest Man 2010, and he put it all over Drake's like bar rooms and stuff for people that would know Paulie, right? So I loved the thing. It was kind of a good luck charm. We still keep it in our grows to this day. And that's what was on the wall where the TV was, right? Now, you know about when you're growing, right? Back in the day, we didn't really have a software and shit like we had now. You had your grow journal. Right?
Oh,
That's
100%.
the evidence that takes you
Like
down.
an actual book, you mean?
Yeah. So you're keeping a grow journal while you're growing, right? And
Now there's apps and shit, right?
so I've got
yeah.
I've got 8 months. I'm talking 8 volume. Like this is months and months, years of notebooks worth. I got like 2 years worth of notebooks of you know, this is my information that I'm looking back on when I'm growing in the future. So this is like my data, right? So, but I'm a Star Trek fan, so I start all my notes out as Captain's Log. Right? I put the notes and I'm writing all this shit down. And, you know, sometimes I'm like baked out of my mind, right? And I'll be like, man, days have begun to blend into weeks and weeks into months. Like I'm losing track of space time, you know, and I'm writing all this in the captain's log with the notes, right? And so me and my homeboy are always like, oh man, if we ever get busted, this is going into evidence. Somebody is going to read this. And sure enough, it happened. Oh man, to this day, I would want those logs back so bad. I want them back. So like
They probably
those
is still in evidence.
Oh, dude,
right?
those are vintage. Like when I'm dead someday, I want my great grandkids to be like, "This is great granddad's drug logs when he was a when before weed became legal," right? But they were like, everyone, Captain's Log. So anyway, I get busted because I'm in an apartment complex, and there were these people that lived on the first floor, way the fuck away from my apartment. They started a fire that's lit the whole place full of smoke. It's Easter Sunday. I don't live there because the whole place is full of cannabis, right? My landlord knows that I'm growing weed in there because he's a Greek guy and doesn't give a shit, just wants me to pay him the rent and be a good boy, be a nice, good Greek boy and pay the rent.
He can play dumb.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He's got plausible deniability, right? So, like, basically, like he calls me up and like the fire department and the cops had like gotten the call about they had to clear the building, and it was Easter Sunday, so they were going door to door, and if people weren't answering, they were taking the door down with an axe or breaking it in. So they fucking broke into the place. Whole place full of weed. Now they got to log it, call it in, blah blah blah. Turns out, like, the cops that are working this place, like, 2 of them are my, like, buddies from the gym that, like, I've lifted with at the gym for, like, a decade at this point, right? I'm like, yo, what's up, man? What's up, Chuck? What's up, Pedro? What's up, Jose, right? Like, this other dude was a cop that was in physical therapy because I had, like, had some injuries, and this dude was next to me in physical therapy, like, every week. So I show up to, like, you know, basically like turn myself in, and they're like, hey, what are you doing here, man? Like, you can't we're in this is a crime scene. And I was like, yeah, it's my crime scene. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, this is all my weed, I've been growing it. Like, oh shit,
Well, they're
man.
gonna find you anyways, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to streamline the process and just get it over with. So they're like, that was my thought process. I mean, because when you grow, you're not oblivious to the fact you're gonna get pinched someday. You're like, when it happens, you're just mentally prepared for it, right? So like, you know what I'm talking about, baby. So like
Yeah, but isn't there part of you that thinks you'll never get caught though too?
no, I think you always think like when I get caught is my thought process.
Literally the week before I got raided, I was joking with my friend Garth in his living room because I was up in Humboldt. I was living there already. I was like, dude, it's crazy. I'm pretty sure that the postman is a Fed. And he's
You
like,
think you're being paranoid?
They were using the U.S. Post Office to ship the weed.
I
So thanks to Uncle Sam.
I did
for
not.
helping
No, I didn't
being
think I was
complicit
being
in the
paranoid.
crimes.
I didn't think I was being paranoid. I knew I was being followed at that point, but I was like, dude, I'm pretty sure that the postman's a Fed, bro. And he's like, yeah, probably.
He is technically a Fed.
The postman out in California, you mean?
No.
Oh, the one in Drake.
In Drake, yeah.
You were going back and forth.
Yeah.
They posted someone in on a station here because of you guys. That's a serious look.
Yeah.
They were taking a look.
I'm watching The Sopranos right now too. There's a lot of shit like this in it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
You love it. Fast forward the clock a little bit past our busts, but like now we've been vindicated, reassimilated, rejuvenated, whatever the Carlito's Way quote is. Now you're the head grower at Ideal.
Yeah.
And everyone can fucking kiss.
Wait, what happened though? Did you get arrested? Like, you got arrested? You got tried or what? Or did you
Yeah. Yeah. So, no plea. Basically, it was an 8-month trial.
Yeah.
There was 6 of us total. Not this is the only thing that saved us. Nobody talked.
Everyone kept their mouth shut.
Everybody kept their mouth shut, so that we only got charged with what we were caught with.
Yeah.
And then by the skill of our separate lawyers, they did their thing, and basically ended up on a 2-year suspended sentence. It was I forget the term for the probation. I didn't have to piss in a cup. I got to keep.
Yeah.
I didn't have to piss in a cup. Got to keep my license. And my lawyer was like, "Listen, there's 4 state police upstairs right now that are pissed off that you guys just walked.
Oh yeah.
Like one of the 6 people, he did 7 years because he had a bunch of priors, and
he believes in that.
This
That's
one
his
just
job,
sent it over
dude.
the edge.
You're the bad guy. He's trying to take you off the
So a
streets.
lot of times people give way too much shit to the cops. Like they shouldn't. Whenever you sit down, I don't care if you're innocent or anything. Ask for a lawyer right away.
Lawyer.
Doesn't matter what the fuck they're saying or
Well,
they want your help.
yeah.
I'll tell
Ask
ya-
for a lawyer.
I'll tell you, my experience was the opposite of that. I drove myself to the police station that day. They didn't
Talk
take
to
me.
them?
They didn't take me in the cruiser. They were like, "Look, we don't want to arrest you. Like, just drive down there and check in, and we'll send you a subpoena for court. We'll send you a summons for court." So I was never cuffed, never put in the cruiser. I get down there, I waived my Miranda rights and just said, "Yeah, I've been growing in there. It's my
You gave too
now,
much work to. Like, you did
my-
the work for them. You should have made them work a little bit.
I already told you I wanted to streamline the process. Now, mind you, this is like legalization's coming east at this point. This happened. The bust was on Easter Sunday, the Easter before we voted medical in November or whatever that was. So like I knew that this shit was coming.
And now
our
look
way.
at it. It's insane.
And so like I basically was like, "Yep, I did it. I grew it," and like. I told the cops everything I did. I was like, "Yep." And one guy's like, "You've been real busy in there." I was like, "Oh, you better believe it." I was like, "You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do this. You got to do that."
and you lost all your equipment, obviously.
Yeah, and they ganked. They ganked like none of the grow gear, but like the ACs went missing, and like a bunch of other appliances went missing, but like the grow gear was left behind. So thanks, little police
They
department.
left your grow gear for you?
They let me keep my grow gear, which was great because I just set up shop down the street somewhere else and went right back to it.
What a farce, though.
But
they shouldn't even have bothered with
they
it back
stole
then.
the appliances that would be good for their houses that they wanted. They took any cash that they could find, and none of it got logged in evidence.
Yeah.
But the grow journals, those were logged in evidence 100%. We gotta get.
I know weed. I know weed is legal now, but I think everything a man or a woman, adult, wants to do should be legal for them to do because they're gonna do it anyways. I'll tell you right now, if you want it, you can get it.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
And if you really want it bad enough, you're gonna get it. Like, I think weed was the first big thing that like it's kind of ridiculous that you even have to put up with this shit. Like both of you.
So that
Insane.
was before you. I mean, that was way before you started working at Ideal. So you went back to California and grew out there and just lived as a grower.
Did you go right back to it?
Yeah, so 2007 got arrested. I waited out the trial 8 months. As soon as I got
Long 8 months.
it was a long 8 months.
First bust.
Yep.
The worst.
As soon as I got my probation with the 2-year suspended sentence, my lawyer was like, "Listen, if you stick around here, you're gonna get popped. So just get the fuck out of here."
You're lucky to like
And just stay out there.
Yeah. So I was able to transfer the probation to California. Same thing. Like, no, I didn't have to check in or anything. It was no piss test, anything. Just
But by then you
don't
could-
get in trouble.
they had the 99 plants in place on the location for growers and
as
shit.
soon as I got there, 3 weeks after I got there, I had a rental house with a basement. And I had, within that first 3 weeks, I had a rental house with a basement and a new job at a hydro store.
Nice.
Double whammy.
Bam, bam. You know
Classic grower setup, just so you guys want to know, is work at the hydro store and have your own grow on the side.
Yeah,
And any real growers worked at the hydro. I managed Green
You
Life.
did too, right?
I managed
So
Green Life
basically,
in
you get
Manchester.
supplies like for deals,
It's
right?
not just about that. It's about you're like rubbing elbows with everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's the information that you're going to learn.
Mostly.
Yeah, right. I can see that.
The people who are also growing and selling weed that you're going to connect with.
The reps that sell you your gear
yeah.
are selling coast to coast at the beginning of this thing. They didn't have an East Coast, West Coast. Like those people were traveling hippies with
Yep.
Are you trading clones and like seeds and shit too? Or?
that happens.
I was buying clones from my homies in Humboldt
Yeah.
when I first moved out there, and then because I lived in the Bay. I moved to Humboldt. I flew home for the stunt show, got popped, and then I had to get Humboldt kind of dissolved after that. Like really, they put me on the fucking.
You're out.
Yeah, I was like on the back burner for like
Oh, really?
a whole year. Yeah, I made them a shit ton of money too, and it just that shit happens. You get popped, you got your fucking cancer.
Oh wait, they didn't want you near them after.
No,
The
they
very
did not want
you're
me.
only as good as your last blue ribbon. That's what happened to me at the YMCA. The coach of the swim team didn't know who I was. I had
Hey,
won.
your last Blue River was
I had won
1994.
countless blue
Why did
ribbons.
to keep track of that shit?
30 years ago, I was the man there, but now I was nothing.
But long term, they're all still my friends. I still have the ability to talk to them. I do talk to quite a few of them pretty regularly still.
That's part of the game.
The two guys who I worked for in the Bay Area, though, I talk to them regularly. They're great guys, man. Like they really put me on the super solid game, as well as the Humboldt guys did. So I worked for 3 years, 6 days a week at this hydro store. So my first year, I had 6 lights. And I worked every day at the hydro store.
People don't know about that. When you're a grower, you work every day. It's like that's it.
Yeah, I was growing. I was waking up, checking the grow in the basement, driving to work, weed talk all day, go home, work on weed, go to bed, wake up.
So that's like the second component of it really is, right? Like you're saturating yourself in this thing all day long. So you're at the grow store. When some new product comes around, you get to try it out first, or you know about it first. You're talking to the reps, like you were saying, you're friends with the Athena reps. I run Athena. Athena's a dope nutrient line, not only because they're like got a Greek sound to them, but they make like a cool, pretty easy, effective and easy nutrient line.
Yeah. My rep is Max Britt. He's the person that actually came up with the
Shout out to Athena Newts. You guys are getting a lot of people high.
Yeah, man. Athena Nutrients, they're racking up a shit ton of first place trophies all around the country right now. And it's
Is that a thing? People that you, when you enter the Cannabis Cup, that people want to know what you use to grow it?
oh hell yeah, for sure.
Wow.
What have you been using? What are you running?
So they ride the coattails of the success of the growers too.
Definitely.
what so I just want to take it back to Humboldt. So you go out to Cali,
Yep.
you're in Humboldt.
Yep.
How did you what's the relationship? Like how did you build relationships? What is that like
Oh man.
to make your friends with the people that are out there? Like how did you gain their trust and all that shit?
So day one, it all starts with this guy who's a director from New York. His name is Drew Stone. He was the first person to really do like a street stunt bike movie that show the intimate portrayal of the lives of the stunt riders who are in the streets.
What movie is it?
It's called 12 O'Clock. And actually, next week is the 20th anniversary meetup in New York. Of all
Not
the
Biker
riders.
Boys, but 12 o'clock.
Yeah, 12 O'Clock.
Boys.
Not 12 O'Clock Boys.
But that's a thing, right? Yeah.
But the name of the movie is 12 O'Clock.
Yeah,
so Drew had a relationship with Humboldt County because Garth Vader was doing some of the music for the video.
This is the guy that made the hip hop song,
Yeah.
and he went by Garth Vader.
Garth Cultivator.
Oh, but then also Garth Vader.
Yeah, I call him Garth Vader, whatever.
I mean, you have
yeah,
to.
he's my homeboy. I've known him.
You have to.
I've known him since.
I like that.
Dan used to be a Star Wars fan.
I still am.
So I've known Garth since 2004. So that connection was Garth is doing music for the stunt movies. Drew is the director. I'm a stunt rider.
Oh, cool.
I'm friends with selling weed to all of these stunt riders all around the country because I'm traveling all around the country. I link up with Drew because he's filming all of my friends. He smokes weed. I have weed. It's just that thing that brings everybody together,
Dude.
you know? So
Big time.
lo and behold, fast forward a year, we were in Florida when I met Garth, 2005. Drew hits me up. He's like, yo, bro, I know you flip them pies, homie. You want to go to Humboldt County for a stunt show?
That's funny because I don't think you're very good at making pizza. That's just my personal opinion. I have yet to see it in action. But.
We can make some pies. And
I can make some pies too. All of us can. Actually.
I don't know.
So Drew's like, yo, you want to go to Humboldt County for a stunt show? Gar's sister wants to put on a stunt show for the community.
She hot.
Her name's Sequoia. So
I still
Gar's
like her.
she's awesome, man. Her and her husband Kenny they're the best.
Kenny.
So we go out there, we put on this stunt show, and I get a clothing sponsorship.
Dope.
So that was my first interaction with a local musician and clothing, a clothing designer and artist. So he puts me on as an athlete on his sponsorship roster. And then Drew got married, and little did I know, like Drew was getting some weed from Humboldt, just a little bit though to smoke. He gets married, and then his wife doesn't want him to get the weed shipped anymore.
You know how many times that's happened to men?
So he
In the
tells
game,
me,
people in the game,
So
they get
he-
married, they have kids, like, I got to get out of it. The wife and kids now.
Wife doesn't like it now.
Yeah,
so
the
he knows I'm
kids.
sponsored by his homie, and he's like, "Hey man, yo Z, you wanna get some weed shipped, and then I can come and get it from you."
There we go.
All right, yeah, fuck it, why not, man? So I do this thing. I get an ounce, and it's the most amazing weed. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fucking crazy weed.
For back then,
So
right?
are you still?
I mean, even today?
For right now too.
Really?
Like, this shit is so crazy. Like, you know,
Everything, half the strains we have today are bred from that original like area of
Yeah.
strains. So
At that time, are you in Cali or are you back here?
I'm in Massachusetts.
You're in
still.
Massachusetts. Okay.
Yes, and I'm here for a couple years after this.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's like, "Hey, you know how I sponsor you? You know I can sponsor you with this shit too, right?" What do you mean? Well,
Set you up.
you send some money and I send some weed. Sounds like a fucking plan to me. Let's do this. And literally, that's just how it all started.
How does it get mailed?
Damn.
It's just ground shipping?
It-
First class mail?
in the beginning, it was just very mediocre. There was not much thought process to it. It was,
Just throw it in the mail and just...
Just
get
in a
it through.
box.
Yeah.
get it through.
There was a few things in place, but I don't want to give it all up.
Okay.
So
You got to make the kids work for something. Fucking little bastards learning all this shit, getting all the juice.
Yeah.
So that's how that whole thing started. And now, you know, I'm not saying I was different from anybody, but immediately I was like, all right, I want to go handpick what I buy. So, you know, like I fly out there
You start
and,
going
and they're
to the
like,
market.
yeah. And they're like, take me a little bit more seriously because I came with like 40 G's which is in 2005. They just,
They're
met me.
business people. They're trying to pay their bills. Growing's expensive and it's hard and it's fucking like a lot goes wrong and like buying it, you're their friend.
It's not just easy money, right? Like it's not,
Dude,
No,
it's
no.
one of the hardest jobs around, dude.
Now we're talking, you know, I'm paying 42 to 5,200 with a smile on my face. And I get to hand pick whatever. So I can get, you know, like 8 pounds or whatever.
Nobody
7
has
pounds.
anything like it.
But it's costing me 40 grand, you know, my first trip, 40 G's, whatever. But I'm doubling the money on everything that I'm selling.
I know. It's tough. Crime pays good. That's the thing. It says crime doesn't pay in all the ads, but when you get into it at first, it pays really good. Like when I used to make fake IDs for a living, when I was like just getting out of high school, I was making like $1,000 a weekend, bro. And I was like,
people lined up. To come,
And I was like, yo, this is great. You know, like this beats the shit out of all the other ways to make $1,000, you know? And I was the cool guy. That's the other thing. You're the cool guy that makes the IDs at the colleges. Somebody's going to try to have sex with you, right? and like, hopefully it's a hot chick.
So most people back then are selling shitty weed or whatever they can get. You're coming back with like choice shit.
Humboldt
so
County.
at the time, everybody is selling like Vietnamese, Chinese, or Asian smuggled in weed, or usually from British Columbia or Montreal or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
So by this time, 2000,
People think it's coming up from Mexico. It was, but
They
like
call
not.
it KB or something like that.
It
Like
was-
a lot of times.
It was
Kind Bud,
swag was
Kind
coming
Bud,
up from
Beasters or whatever.
Yeah, like the real marijuana, the real time, like connoisseur level bud was coming from Canada.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden, this weed that I'm getting is at a much higher level of quality compared to everything that else is around. And I'm making the same amount of money on 5 pounds as my friends are making having to sell 50. So for me, it was like
the best
scale to risk, risk versus reward scale thing. It's like, it's super easy to sell 5 Ps, right? And it's a very low risk. I can hide 5 Ps fucking almost anywhere. It's way harder to move 50 around driving and all this bullshit. So it was just easier for me.
Plus you get busted. It's less of a bust.
Yeah. So me just flying out there and shit. I was flying at 25. I started flying out once to twice a month. I'd fucking stay for like 3 weeks if I went out.
Party your ass off.
No.
Oh, just working.
All work, bro.
Business.
Like, yes, party, but like all my friends, like all these people I became friends with were all the like elite musicians. Like still to this day, if you look up like any elite musician in Humboldt County, like those are all the people that I was working with. And, a couple very specifically, but like, God bless all those dudes, man. They like seriously changed my life for the better for the rest of the course of my entire life.
Right.
So I met everybody because of that very first clothing sponsorship.
Wow.
It's like I would go out cash and he would bring me around and handpick weed and they'd be like, yo, that dude from Boston, is he coming back? When's he coming back? Is he coming back? How much is he bringing? So, I got all this weight. I got this. I got that.
Whoa.
I always had to pick because I always came out with cash 100% of the time. And a lot of other people were trying to get cuffed and all that type of bullshit. And me, I just wanted to do straight business. So it was really easy for me to meet all the people that I met. And it just worked out that all the people that I met, and I'm still friends with some, and I'm acquaintances still with other dudes that I just haven't really gotten to stay in contact with. It was just, I was just buying so much weed. They were all wanted to keep going.
They loved you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then from that, they taught you.
Yeah.
Is that that's where you learned
they taught me without directly teaching me. I would be out there, specifically Garth.
Yeah.
Right. Like he ended up becoming a very good friend of mine. We spent a lot of time together, all the way up until I moved back home, which was 2018.
Okay.
So he would just bring me around. I would be out there buying weed or doing whatever, and he would just be like, yo, you want to come over here to the garden? I'm going to do this. We'll blaze and whatever. And I would just be like, hey, you need a hand? You want help doing that?
Always
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
You always need a hand.
And I would never ask questions. I would just talk like with them, very regular conversation. I just became friends with them.
Right.
So it's just like normal conversation, but they're talking about plants and what the mix is. Hey, grab this bag. I'm soaking the shit up like a sponge because I love what weed does and how it brings people together and the community. And I loved Humboldt County. It reminded me of like Maine, but with like the craziest cool community vibe. I had never seen a place that ran off of large scale weed cultivation.
Humboldt's whole like I remember back in the day when weed was first on the news, there was some kind of like investigation that was done. Like even the police in Humboldt were making money on weed. Like 70% of the town's population were in on it on some level.
Definitely.
I want to hit on something you just talked about before we go further down the timeline, and that was like, you look great right now. You look like you're just sedated. So one of the things that like I was thinking about this year, and I was talking about it, and I was like, man, weed used to be, ganja was like, if I smoked pot and someone from a completely different walk of life smoked pot and we happened to be near each other and we shared it, that was like instant connection, instant bond, instant whatever, right? And that used to be a big deal with pot. It brought people together that normally wouldn't be brought together. And we're kind of losing something like that now with the impersonality of it, like people just going to stores, buying it and all that. But I guess what we got out of it is that there's so much more people smoking now that it's opening more minds, which I think it's a really mind-opening, expanding drug. Substance. The little dude at the the little homie at the car wash today had the molecule for Delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol, aka THC, on his fucking shirt. And I look at him and I go, "Sweet shirt." He's like, "Cool." Oh, he's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "You know what it is?" I was like, "Yeah, it's the molecule for Delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol." He's like, "Holy shit, bro! I can't believe you fucking knew that." And I was like, "Yeah, I know it, buddy. Don't you worry about me. I know my molecule shapes when I think it's something awesome." I was probably gonna get the molecule tattooed on me because like I think like you got to get a Hydro Life tattoo at a certain point when you commit, and like I've got a couple different ideas that it's like I've got a couple different ideas for tattoos for to pay respect to like my time with marijuana, but the molecule was certainly on the list of. All right, so this is my question, like. When did you captain your first ship is what I want to know. Because, like, I fucking started growing... When I first started smoking weed, because I've always had a scientific...
It's like the first time that I had lights in a house.
Well...
On my own?
I'm just saying, like, I have a scientific mind. I started smoking, like, Maine quality bud when no one had that shit. And Maine had good bud early, right? So it was kind of coming in from Vermont maybe, and maybe a little from British Columbia, Canada, whatever. But they had... Northern Lights, they had some shit that no one had back in the day, but it was a hassle. That's how I was like, I bet I could grow this shit on my own and do better than these idiots, and what I didn't know what I didn't know. I started growing to my great aunt, my papu's sister, who had like Alzheimer's. She was like in her 80s. Wow. I started growing pot in her basement. Amazing. And we converted one of the rooms into like a grow, and like the veg lights were like fluorescent shitty lights. We had like a shower curtain lined with like some foil that was like the separator between that and the flower room, but it like didn't go all the way up, so there was like massive light leak into the flower room. Any mistake you could have fucking made, I made it, right? So like that's my first grow. But the first time I captained my own ship, when I was like, okay, I'm gonna quit my job, just grow weed for a living. Fucking, I've got a bunch of lights. I've got a place rented. Like, I'm it. That's the bust that I was talking about earlier. That's my first ship. Now I've got ships, but like,
I mean, I personally have never made money to live off of from working anywhere until I was much older. I strictly sold weed from the time I was 14.
But you started growing it.
So no, I was selling it from 14.
Fairly passionate about growing it.
Yeah, 14 to 25 was strictly sales, and then 25 got my first rental house and put literally three lights. I did 2 runs. I got 1 run off, and then I got home invaded.
Oh, fuck.
And
Stolen.
I got home invaded.
Robbery.
And my whole
Wait, a robbery?
Yeah.
my
See,
my second run got fucking jacked.
In the biz, we call them rippers.
All it needs is a couple people to know about it, right?
Dude,
and like
yeah.
you tell somebody,
Dude,
and that's it. And they go after
you're
it.
more when you're growing back in the day, even before it's like when it was 100% illegal. You're honestly, like, in my opinion, you're like 50-50 worried about Johnny Law and 50-50 worried about getting robbed. And like later now, fast forward the camera, we're only really worried about getting robbed.
And I shouldn't say I got home invaded. The very first time they attempted to home invade, and they could not get through the door. So and then my roommate came running down the stairs, and he flipped the light on, and they took off. And then 2 weeks later, they came back when nobody was there. They got in, and
the fire department broke my door.
Literally looked like I moved out.
Wow.
Yeah, literally there was.
You
everything.
just ghosted the place after.
Dude,
Took the lights and everything?
it looked like I moved out when I walked into my house after it got robbed.
Oh, they robbed it clean?
Yes, like
picked it clean.
took my fucking
like an ex-wife took
pillows,
the fucking ice cube trays.
bed.
Yes.
They took the bed?
Yeah,
What kind of a sick
they
bitch
moved
takes
out.
the ice cube trays out of the freezer?
They moved us out.
Wow.
It's fucking crazy. And
We should hire them when we need to do a move. They've
Yeah,
seen
wow.
industrious.
Yeah, they're real quick.
yeah, dude, it was impressive. I was like, wow, I can't knock the motherfuckers.
What do you think?
They were determined.
Meth heads or just
Oh no,
You know who they are?
young kids
Yeah,
with muscles?
for sure.
Oh, you figured out who they were after.
This is a lot of years. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of years went by. You figure it out.
Yeah.
So
still
that
around?
was, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When's your first like real grow though?
So first real grow,
Big boy grow.
so I got to California for the second time, 2008, end of 2007. No. Yep. 2008, I got back. I was on probation. I grew in a rental house for a year, 6 lights.
Kind of counts.
2009, I get the keys to my warehouse.
That's when you're a big boy.
And the house that I bought on the same day, August 15th, 2009.
Wow.
So now I have to build out 2 spots right away.
Tons of dough, by the way.
A little bit, yeah. I had to buy that.
Lights were so expensive. All the gear cost so much back in the day because it was like...
I had to buy the house.
Was it cheaper now?
How
Because
you bought the
LEDs?
house?
Yeah.
It's cheaper now because of this. So one of the things like you were talking about to me about memories of growing. See, the weed industry and the growers in general that are in the business, but like all the other people now that have jumped on the bandwagon, a lot of innovation has occurred. And so back in the day, you only had one choice. You had to buy like one type of light. It was super fucking expensive, and they knew you were buying it to grow weed, so they charged you extra.
Yeah, like I had 10 sun system air cooled.
Yeah.
Was it like metal halide lights or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And high pressure soap.
Yeah, HPS.
I know this from like keeping frogs and fish and shit.
Yeah.
Like similar.
Spectrum.
So I did 10 lights at my house right away. I had that
That's a
room.
big boy
I had
grow.
that room built in a month, and then it's like 10 sun system 8-inch air cooled lights.
The best.
Shit's all. It was that was a fun build. First time really just getting to do my thing like
having
free.
your own, it's like your own little grow.
And then
Good size grow.
the warehouse just started small. I started with 6 lights up in a room that was already built because I just didn't have the funds to really get cracking yet.
Yeah.
So my first run, I took everything that I harvested, boom, same time, and I got to flip that to my homie in Minnesota for $75,000.
Shit.
So I did my first run, got $75K from total from both spots, and I was able to pay myself back and have the next 4 months bills to pay for everything to go over the next
That's
4
when
months.
pounds used to be fucking $4 or $5 grand, and it was awesome.
Yeah, 3,600 all day.
Now you can barely scrape by, dude. It's rough.
Yeah, so I did that, and I literally had both of those spots for the next decade, or 9.5 years.
Wow.
And I ran both of those spots like dedicated. I had 6 months downtime in those 9 years.
I've been pretty impressed with you as a grower. Like, I consider you to be like, if we put this into martial arts terms, like, I don't know, I'm like a 3rd degree black belt. I'm getting ready to take like my 4th degree test, and you're like a 6th degree black belt. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
You're like,
That's big of him to say that.
I'm just saying,
That's big.
he's done things and he's on a higher level than I am, but like, I have a scientific mind too, and like it helps, but like, yeah, dude's like a 6th or 7th degree black belt. He runs Ideal Cannabis in fucking Uxbridge, bro. You can't even have that job for the time he's had it, not up your black belt at least one, because it's like super.
Oh, dude,
What's your canopy level? What are you guys growing right now?
just under 3,000 square feet.
So 3,000 square feet of canopy. That's a lot of canopy for people that don't know. I mean,
It's a good amount, and there's only 2 of us that are taking care of it right now.
a lot of automation.
Yes, a lot of
Tons
automation.
you guys have got
So water.
crazy automation.
Yeah, everything's ran by my phone
I know. It's awesome.
or computers right at the room that translate
Like
data back.
microcontrollers and shit
So like
that. Yeah.
all the stuff that like we didn't have access to 20 years ago. So like you were telling me a story about those cats that had like removed the floor of one of the houses and dug into the basement. Like, what was that exactly?
Oh man,
Because they needed room to grow sativas, I assume.
no, this dude was so wild. My roommate at the time knew this dude who lived over in the Oakland Hills, and we went by to sell some pounds and some shit one day, and he was like, "Hey, check out what me and my friend did." He moved a rug and then lifted up like a 4x8 cutout of the floor.
I love it.
It was like a wood floor.
Classic.
Of like this Russian lady who couldn't pay her bills, so they took over the house payments and shit like that to blow it up.
Scapegoat? They
Yeah,
had
yeah.
a scapegoat?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And she was cool ass Russian lady, so
Yeah.
she was like super down.
Kidding me? She escaped communism. All she wants to do is not pay her rent. Forget it.
Yeah. So like they got her an apartment, right? So they're using this house. They do a 200 amp upgrade. They cut out like a 4x8 cutout in the floor of the house that is on a flat that is on a hill in the Berkeley Hills. And they dig straight down. Took them like a month. And they took all the dirt and they built a raised barrier wall with railroad ties in the backyard, like up on the hill, to disperse all of the dirt that came from underneath the house. And like they reframed under the house as they were building it. And the whole
Like
night.
miners.
Yeah. And dude, they made this shit.
Like the dwarves of Erebor.
They dug
Built a grow room.
yeah, they dug like a 25 by 25 room underneath a house that definitely was it probably had to tear the fucking house down,
Right.
honestly, like after years of running the shit.
Whoa.
Because, dirt floor, they put up panda plastic and shit for the walls over the
Black
dirt.
and white poly, baby.
15 lights down there, though.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's big. That's a big
What's
grow back
15
then.
lights putting out?
At that time,
Like
it
15
was-
pounds. It was like a pound of light. It was like
no, this dude, he was getting up close to 2.
back then?
Yeah, back
Wow.
then. He was getting close to 2, and he was connected with the right people. He was running all OGs at the time, crushing it. And he had another 70 lighter out in Oakland. He was fucking murdering it back then.
People don't get about the cannabis industry now is that, like, first of all, any job in the industry, you work in a ton of hours. It's a lot of fucking work. There's a major exploitation, in my opinion, for the grunt workforce. There's this like wait list of people that want to get in on the cannabis industry, and they're like they're like, a lot of them will come to job fairs and be like, I'll work for free. I just want to get my foot in the door. And then like, okay, like we're going to hire you, but like, hello. And like, but they only pay them $15 an hour, which is like minimum wage. And it's like, it's hard work, dude. It's like physical labor. You got to lift shit, move shit. The harvest itself is difficult. The pruning is difficult. I mean, it's all manual labor. It's farming, dude, straight up.
Yeah, it's
all I can say.
Running agriculture,
But now we've got companies on top of companies competing with each other for gear to like help us grow. And so like you guys, what do you use? You don't use Growbot. You use
I use Trollmaster.
Yeah, I use Trollmaster too. I love them. But you have an auto dosatron. Is that what it is?
Yeah, we have a Dosatron. That's just a water powered mixing application.
So they have all these things now that we buy that are like wireless, Bluetooth, like fucking. He could check right now on his phone, give us real time data on like what's going on at the grow, like temperatures,
Oh yeah,
the salt and water content in the grow media, like so many sensors and shit that we just didn't have that before. Now you do, so we're like dialing shit in.
So I run the Grodan eSense. That's the water content monitors. That tells me the EC level, the temperature inside the
Like,
block,
he could be here like right now.
the EC level.
Get a little notification on his phone, and it's gonna be like, hey, aisle 6, row 8. The water level has dropped below the set line of 60% saturation, and he can hit a button and give it just like a quick little spritz.
Yeah.
That's dope.
That's crazy.
I'm just
Like-
saying. It's
like
we
I
didn't
have to-
have that back in the day.
No, not at all. Like I have to look on one app.
and this
then
is like the standard in the industry, for people to grow.
totally like I can look in one app, get those readings, and I can jump to the other app and make the adjustments real quick. Feed for a minute, 30 or 10 seconds or whatever I need to. So it makes it really easy because I had a really good base to start with. Just
Base
because
nutrient?
no base of knowledge.
Of course.
So just just
Well, it's a good question if you're a grower, because base could mean
just running grows for a little over 10 years just gave me a really good start. I just never had all
a decade, man.
I just didn't have all the technology
Yeah.
at my fingertips, and now I do. And it's crazy to see the difference in the end,
Oh, yeah.
end product because I have all of this data at my fingertips. It's just blowing my mind. It just keeps getting better and better.
Do you have to use any consultants for like certain scientific aspects to it, or is it all like just everything you've gathered yourself?
So for me personally, it's pretty much everything I've gathered from myself, but there is people who I confide in.
Yeah.
That
Second opinion on things.
Yeah, or just like what am I not seeing?
Right.
Oh, what am I
Eyes, yeah.
or what do I not understand? Could you please educate me, because I'm learning new shit every single day.
What's
you know
the
what
bricks
I mean?
level?
Just anything like that. Like more so now I'm learning a lot more about crop steering. So it's just like,
For those of us who aren't professional cannabis cultivators, what's a crop steer?
crop steering is when you can monitor your water content levels in your growing media and make feeding adjustments or watering adjustments based off of those readings
Yes.
throughout the course of the day and overnight.
Now that's the type of data you collect and put into a grow journal.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you don't have to write Kaplan's Law.
You don't, but it's an option.
That's the data you're collecting. So that the next grow you say, okay, well, I know that this is what it likes. And the next grow, assuming it's the same genetic and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Like I have 5 tables in my 2 single level rooms. And let's say if I'm running 5 different strains, one variety on each table, and I have each table monitored, I mean, I can get a pretty good grow log for each variety. There's going to be some nuances, and I'll have to shift rooms around for a little while I learn what strains like the same temperature, airflow, EC levels, drybacks like together over time. So it'll take me 2-3 runs to figure that out. Oh, these 5 are better together than these 3 and these 2. So I'll take these 2 out, move those over to the other room with the taller plants, and you just got to shift shit around and take your time to figure everything out, unless you already know the variety.
Wow.
The cannabis cup used to be in Amsterdam exclusively because weed was illegal like everywhere.
Yeah, because when I was in college, somebody had hash that was from the Cannabis Cup or something, or won like second place.
Supposedly.
Supposedly. Well, that's what they said. It was from Amsterdam, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
Then there was the Cannabis Cup when Spain got involved, and they were like, yeah, we're going to hold one.
They still do.
Then, the Cannabis Cup. And then,
Now is it an international thing?
well, now it's become just such a big, like the community, like weed's so big and it's here to stay, really, that like every little area has their own Cannabis Cup. But we had the New England Cannabis Cup.
Yeah. So
That was
the any can.
the any can. So that's
Yeah.
Maine, Boston, Mass, not New Hampshire, right? Because they have only medical, or
I'm pretty sure it encompasses all of New England.
because it's
Regardless
medical,
of
people can be
medical
there too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so so you win the indica category.
That's fucked up that New Hampshire's not on board yet.
Well,
Live free or die.
they're working on it. You win in the indica category, which has got to be like that's like a fucking life dream, dude.
Honestly, I didn't even think about it at the time. I just entered it like I knew the flower was super good,
But it happened.
but it did happen. Yeah.
Did you entered it under
real thing.
ideal or under?
Yeah. So we entered it. We entered it under ideal.
Is that it right there?
No, this is some different flower. It's this shit, honestly, this shit that is in this jar probably would have beat what I entered.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure. In my opinion. But yeah, so the strain that I entered was a Joker's.
By Compound Genetics, is that who it was?
Yeah, Compound Genetics, Node Labs.
Is it an offshoot of Runts?
It's a white runts crossed with a jet fuel gelato.
So it's like a quadruple.
Indica's like good if I want to go to sleep.
It's a
What
nice,
is that, like Wi-Fi crossed with Runts with jet fuel crossed with whatever the fourth one was?
No, white runts. I don't know that whatever. Fucking there's 8 million kinds of runts. This one was white runts, and the jet fuel gelato was
So 3.
yeah, jet fuel OG crossed with the gelato. I think it was a 41 cross.
How many people competed? That's what I want to know.
There was
Yo,
I think
you guys just spoke fucking Mandarin for like 10 minutes.
Sorry.
You guys just spoke a different language. If anybody listened to this without any knowledge of what's going on, they'd be like, these people are talking gibberish.
So
They want God. Ooh.
what was the
How
question?
about no?
My question was
Sorry.
my question was just how many people were in that cup. 'Cause it's like I thought when I found out you won it, I was like I was happy.
I think
Like I won it. I was like, oh man,
I think the
he deserves it.
total-
You know,
like the total was, like 130 something, but I think the flower category was 76 or 106 or something like that.
like the kid from the Goonies, Kihoy Kwan. He won the Oscar.
Yeah.
I broke down immediately when he won his Oscar. I was crying like a little girl. I was like, "Oh my god, he did it! He still did it! What a guy!" Like I was like 10% of that when I found out that you won the cup. I was like, "Oh man, what a good guy! He deserves it."
I'll be honest.
I didn't cry though.
I was super grateful because it was a blind taste test.
Wow.
So that was like what was most important to me was that I won in a competition amongst my peers
Yeah,
on a blind taste test.
the ultimate one.
Our stuff had not been on any shelves yet, and we had just got licensed to operate the week prior.
That's a hell of a kickoff.
You know what I mean? So we came out the gate swinging, and I
You get to hang that on your wall, I assume, right? Like at the store, like, hey, we won the cannabis cup.
like we could promote the Jokers as the #1 indica any can cup winner.
And this is in New England.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does that up you like, all right, you won this. Do you get, all right, let's fucking move to this next regionals and next, like, do you get
Sean
to move
thinks
up?
in sports terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out
So
if you're in like the semifinals, the quarter. Where are you in the Super Bowl right now?
this particular contest isn't structured like that.
Oh, okay.
But there is a contest that, man, hopefully someday I can place in it. It's called the Zolympics.
Okay.
So that you win in certain places and you get moved up the ranks, and then you go to different states, whatever, and get qualified to move on. And then the best of the best come together and they slay. You know what I mean? They drop the heat. It's fucking awesome.
That's when you fucking write your book after,
Yeah, for sure.
Bro, you, in my lifetime of how I've known you, and obviously like what I just heard you tell me and tell us about your life so far, you've always been a fearless motherfucker. Like I knew you and you were doing the dirt bikes and you were good at it. And then at some point in time, you just became elite at that as well. And and then you're telling me that you went to fucking Humboldt and you're in California and you're like, this is when I did this and I had started my own grow. Like
I just showed up from scratch and started this.
Had this fucking like, I'll figure it out and I may do a fucking flip on a dirt bike or
it was motorcycles.
It was wheelies. I just remembered.
Yeah, it was
dirt bikes.
like wheelies and stoppies. And
Somebody said something to me recently. They said to me, the type of person, well, that's what they said to me. They said, rules are rules. That was like their expression they gave. And I wanted to be like, you fucking pussy.
Like you have,
rules are rules.
Like you have
You're
to
the type
follow
of
them?
person that I don't want in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, rules are rules. Like that kind of person is just like, oh, well, hey, rules are rules.
Yeah.
Like you're the biggest pussy on the planet if you think rules are rules. And he obviously doesn't think rules are rules. He makes up his own rules, kind of thing. And it's much cooler.
I like to make my own
Rules are rules.
It was like never my plan to, I wasn't like, I'm fucking fearless. I'm
right.
'Cause most of the time, anything I'm doing that I'm not supposed to be doing, I'm shitting my pants. I'm like, man, if this goes wrong, this could be really bad.
But you got an impulse to try it.
Yeah, I for
and
sure
follow through to do it.
Yeah,
a lot of people think about doing shit.
So like I pride myself on following through no matter how long it takes me. That is like one of my biggest things is I can get fucking punched in the face 1 billion times trying to do something. And if I keep failing and I know that I'm just doing something wrong and that's why I'm failing, I keep trying to do it until I can do it successfully. And that's just, I don't, it comes from like the drive from my family and shit.
It's a Greek work ethic.
Yeah,
we're not allowed to surrender or quit or retreat. It's a Spartan thing.
Pretty much, you know
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
So that's just one. I never talk about the shit, but it's like definitely like a good quality about myself is like, if today I made a plan and it's a 5-year plan, if in 5 years I'm not there yet, you're damn sure I'm still working at it, trying to get to where I'm trying to get to.
I feel like our friendship is based on like that as one of the key pillars of the respect. Like you don't know me as well as I know, like we don't know each other as well as you and Sean know each other, whatever. Like I don't have like cool. Well, I will say this. I don't have a sweet team photo picture of 10-year-old baseball. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, I was on a fucking powerhouse rec league basketball team in 7th grade. It was called the Houston Rockets. We had red shirts.
Yeah.
Aaron Miller's dad was the coach.
Yeah.
We had him, James Pratt, Nicolosi.
Yeah.
Who was legally a man.
Legally at the time he was legally.
He had a beard and chest hair.
And
Did he really?
Yeah.
He was above
muscles
average
on top of muscles.
Is that Matt Nicolosi?
Yes.
Yeah.
We had Matt Roddy.
Yeah. Okay.
We had Andy Wozlak. We had
It's an amazing team.
Dude, we had a powerhouse team, but we had to play the yellow team, which was the Phoenix Suns, and then there's the Halligan twins and some good looking Greek kid that I liked but hated at the same time. And I tell him all the time, I was like, man, because like, you know, me and Mikey, we know each other better now, you know, business and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like, I say in my head all the time, like, man, I want to punch him in the face when I first met him. I was like, we were on the court and he was a tough kid and I could sense that he was a tough kid. And so I was like, I don't know who this tough kid is, but like, I'm going to fucking punch him in the face right any minute now. Cause like, I want him to know that I'm the tough kid on the, like, it was about to turn into like a, like I didn't know you were Greek exactly. Then once I found out, I was like, oh, he's Greek. But
I think we wrestled for the ball viciously.
Maybe.
I think
you might have thrown an elbow, and I was like, yo,
that's a good.
this motherfucker throws another elbow. I'm gonna bite him.
That was some shit my dad taught me.
But like, yo, you were a warrior on the basketball court when we were like 13. I never forgot it to this day. And
I appreciate it.
I think if I had to give advice to someone that wanted to become a grower, especially like I was thinking about this the other day. It was like, all right, so like craft beer has been around a long time, right?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, some guy decides they're going to become a craft beer producer and most of them don't make it. Yeah. Every once in a while, somebody does.
All of them are white.
All right, that's great. But like they come into fashion. Well, Samuel Jackson makes an excellent beer. I'll take a Samuel Jackson. It'll get you drunk. I'll take one right now. I hope you burn in hell. But what I was saying was that like every once in a while, some craft beer guy shows up and actually makes it and enters the market. You know, like and how long they stay in there, I don't know, but like they have a run. What do you think it would be like to try to get into the weed game right now from like with all the competition and all the stuff? Like it's like I wouldn't tell someone it's impossible.
To be a new grower, you mean?
Yeah, but it's hard as shit.
So if there's multiple things, but if you're a new grower, it's extremely hard. It's extremely hard.
What about just doing it because you love it at first? You know, and
So
you just want to do it as a hobby.
A lot of people ask me like, what about this and what about that and blah blah blah. And like the basic advice I give people doing it at home is like, try to keep it as simple as possible. Fucking one big thing is to try to just grow one strain. So a lot of people try to grow like 10 strains at once.
For me, it's like if someone was to truly ask me like, hey man, like how do I get into weed?
Yeah.
Right now, it would like if they're trying to just grow at home, it's a totally different answer than if they're trying to get into the weed industry and like be an employee or an owner or something like that.
That's impossible. You have to own your own place. And even that's cost bank. It's tough.
Yeah. I mean, to get into the weed industry right now for someone that has,
I tell them go to Maine.
No knowledge, but they truly like love the plant and they're like just getting into working with the plant, I'd tell them to go towards tissue culture because that's the most popping thing right now that has a huge growth period to come. It's just, that's what I would tell somebody. And then growing at home, I would ask them like, are they already passionate about it? And if they are, I'd just just keep having fun doing what you're doing, and just experiment all the time and keep learning and never think that what you're doing is the end all be all, because somebody may come along and just be able to drop some knowledge on you, help you out in a big way.
Jay-Z likes to say, make every album like your first album. And I don't want everyone's crop to be like the first crop, because your first crop's usually terrible, but you're enthusiastic about it.
Yes.
And like, one of the things I was talking to this little shit the other day about like being in the weed business, and he was like, I want to get into it. It's like, how do I get into it? And like, I want to be a grower and blah, blah, blah. And I just remember telling him, like, you know what, dude, I was like, one thing I do like about this particular job is that, first of all, you're working your balls off all the time, et cetera, et cetera. But the process is changing throughout the grow. So like at the beginning of the process, you've got your plants and your clones, and you're doing that particular thing, and it's kind of monotonous once you're in it. You're like, yeah, I'm cutting clones, whatever. I fucking put them in the cubes, put them in the little thing, and they clone out. But like once they're babies, you start the transplants. That's when you get your first sense of like, okay, I'm starting anew. It's a rebirth. It's like, okay, I'm starting. This is going to be the best crop I ever put out starting now. So you get to reset the clock like every 10 weeks, basically, and give it your all, give it your best. There's not a lot of jobs out there you can do that, I think.
No, I love it. I love being able to come from where I did and then being able to do what I do now, because I love seeing the variety of plants. Like being able to grow at scale is dope for me, just because I can work with a lot of plants and I can get a lot of harvests out a year. And like, I just love growing. Just me personally, like I love being around the plants, and I'm a plant toucher. Like if I had to do paperwork all day and shit, yeah, I could probably do it, but I would much rather be working on the plants or something to do with the plants. Like, I'm very into genetics, genetic acquisition, trying to find cleanest, newest, the best terps. That's like what I'm super into. So for me, it's really, really easy to just stay super into it. It's just what I love.
Were you ever? Sean's told us there's been a problem at the Drake school system over the years with booking. Were you ever booked?
Probably multiple times.
It's when someone runs up to you and slaps your books out of your hand.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. And that
was a sport.
Yeah, it was a sport.
I never had that happen, I don't think.
I had to punch someone in the face because of it.
I know. It's uncharacteristic.
I had to do it. He was a friend too, and he did it in front of a bunch of people, and I'm like, fuck, dude, I have to punch you. I actually missed. But it didn't look like I missed, so.
Do you want to tell us anything funny from childhood?
Well, let me just, because I think it's a big part of the story. Like, how did you get into the motorcycle stunt and stunting?
Since that led you everywhere?
So I just have always been into motorcycles since I was a little kid. I liked them. And then I got a dirt bike when I was 13. Just like cruising around on dirt bikes, like in the neighborhood, whatever, and like no helmet, just ripping around.
John Connor had one in Terminator 2 at the time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I definitely,
I wanted one so bad because of that.
My first bike was 100% a red and white Yamaha.
Yeah.
100%. So I got a dirt bike. Then I just liked riding. Yeah. Then one day when I was a little bit older, I was literally on hiatus from selling weed because I had caught wind that I was catching some heat.
You were lying low.
I was laying low, so I went and got a job as a landscaper, of course, right? Like working on plants and shit.
A lot of dudes have done it.
Cutting trees up, whatever, obviously. So I'm in the back of the truck and we're driving somewhere, and I just told this story. It's funny. So we're driving to the next job, and this dude from Tingsboro is doing a wheelie next to the truck.
Is this Chauncey?
Yeah. So the
infamous Chauncey.
Oh yeah, he was good.
So he's driving
party at our house
next to the truck, and like just gives me the stare, like just locked eyes with me, and he's just like, "Yeah, what's up?" Just killing it, just so much style, and just cruised on by the truck at the wheelie, and I literally in that moment I was like, "Fuck, I can do that shit." Like he looked me in the eyes and was like, "You fucking can't do this." That's like what I felt. So I was like, "Motherfucker, I can do that shit."
That's how I felt when I met you on the basketball court.
Yeah. So fast forward a few months, I went and I bought a brand new bike and I started doing wheelies on it right away. And then lo and behold, I ended up traveling the country with Chauncey for a while.
He's a popular kid in the area, so
And until he moved to Maine and just kind of took himself out of the scene. But I traveled with his old team.
What's he do now? Do
you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know. I
He's a kid
remember.
that used to
Oh, he
hang out
does.
with Lonnie.
He does construction.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, runs a construction business.
Still ride? He must, right?
I think just for fun. Like
Yeah.
he rides dirt bikes a lot. I know that.
Did you ever find yourself at a raging party at my parents' house in the backyard?
1 or 2 times.
Oh,
Yeah, we had a good time.
we had some big parties.
1 or
in that
2
place.
times. Yeah, I was actually impressed. I was impressed the 2 times that I went.
200 fucking people in the backyard, kegs in the pool.
Hell yeah.
You know what's
People
funny
all
is
over the
it'd be
place.
fun to have like one more party like that, like in our 40s, but nobody would show up. Like
That's the sad.
Nobody would show up.
That's the sad thing. People don't show up to parties.
He's tried.
Yeah.
4th
I,
of July.
I like
Yeah.
to party, and I'm like, yo, I grew a bunch of shrooms. Who wants to party and get fucked up 4th of July? And everyone's like, I'm not 30 anymore. I'm not,
Seriously,
I'm not
Listen,
25.
though, if
and
we could just
they're
put
like-
it together one more
they're
time.
like, Chris, you're 42. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like,
I'm down. One more time. It's been like 15 years since the
Right.
last big one.
I like
Hooker
having,
Rodeo Roundup 3.
I like having
Yeah, one more
parties.
time.
I'm
Yeah,
at
let's
parents'
have,
house.
sometimes they make sequels years later.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, yeah.
Karate Kid just came out.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, I
Do it one more
look
time.
the same as I looked when I was 20, minus all the whites.
I look different, but
Wait,
So that's how I got into it. Like
Yeah.
that was the moment that I was attracted to it. And then I literally just like put in the years
yeah.
of just riding.
You're a hard worker.
Started 2001. I rode like actively in some competitions, a lot of movie stuff, and then honestly just really just being a motorcycle rider. I'll be riding on the street, running from the cops, and just
Something.
we were just like having fun. You know what I mean? We were being dumbasses, but to us, we were just having fun. So it was, we'd get together, we'd cruise out, go to Boston, end up getting chased by the cops, hit the highway.
Oh, that was a
wheelies
click, dude.
everywhere.
That motorcycle wheelie click was a click.
Yeah, for sure. And then I traveled from 2001 to 2007 with the same group of people.
Wow.
So we would go around. I did a lot of video work. I did a lot of video work for that gentleman I mentioned earlier, Drew Stone. And then I did a little editing work for a couple videos and all that. And speaking of videos, 2014, Mr. DL,
Yeah.
he had produced the movie Sea of Green that I was in
Yes.
as one of the characters. It was
You were in Sea of Green?
Yeah.
I was one of the main characters.
What? I've seen Sea of Green. I didn't know you were in that.
I was one of the main characters.
what is that?
DL,
Mr. DL, shout
Sean,
out to Mr. DL.
Sean's friend.
Yeah, Mr.
Oh.
DL.
Oh.
Similar, he went out to Humboldt. Did he go with
Self-made,
you? Or?
self-made man.
Not exactly with me, kind of. I
time-ish?
linked him with all of the musicians.
Yeah,
that
that's
I
what
knew
yeah.
because I knew he was
Yeah.
like a trained engineer.
Right.
And I'm friends with him. I knew him since I was 11, and
Yeah.
then these guys are just amazing people. So,
Right.
and then that expanded into its own thing.
Yeah.
So he developed all his own friendships out there with all those people.
Yeah.
DL and I don't know each other, but he's on my list of people that like said they were going to go do something with their life and went out and fucking did it.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. He,
And no one could take that away from that.
we
No,
got to get
not at
him
all.
on here at some point. But yeah, DL
Are we big
started
enough for
making
him?
music.
Are we big enough for his time to
Yeah,
show up?
yeah, yeah.
You think you'd do it for years, buddy?
Yeah.
All right.
He started music and then he started making videos and then he made a movie and a TV show and
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's amazing. So
you were in that too, right?
Played some small roles. Yeah.
We got to get a copy of that.
Yeah. It's on Amazon
yeah,
it's
you
on
can
Amazon.
watch it. Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it
Oh,
tonight.
what is it called?
yeah.
What is it called?
Sea of Green.
No, that
Okay.
Sea Green is on YouTube. The Weekend Warriors is on Amazon.
Weekend Warriors, Sea of Green.
I'll
and
check
then
out
Sea
Sea
Green Part 2, which was
See.
what was that one?
I don't know.
Was that a sequel or a prequel?
It was the prequel.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, prequel. That was good too.
Yeah.
What is it? Sea of Green and Weekend Warriors?
Yeah.
Danny,
I forget the name of
See,
it.
the reason the
So do
title
I.
is Sea of Green is that is a grow style technique.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically, when flood tables, which are like you just put a bunch of plants on them and they flood from the bottom up, water the plants and drain back out, flood and drain, ebb and flow, however you want to call it.
You can make anything a secret.
Yeah,
You
you
just pack it in.
Let's just pack it in as tight as the canopy can get.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be flood and drain or whatever.
He sent me a photo the other day of work. He's like, I got some pruning to do. And it was like a warehouse full of weed. I was like, bro, that is a sea of green. But that's why the title is significant. Sea of green is an actual grow.
I was the
style of
my name in the movie is the Wizard.
the wizard.
Yes.
Call the wizard. He's got the good weed.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah, it was basically a story that was loosely brought on by my smuggling story on how we got caught. And
Dan was so excited earlier when we were just talking crime straight up.
Well, yeah, I thought it would just be talking about like growing shit and like once you heard the crime stuff, I loved it.
I gave him an assault rifle bigger than he was last night, and he was like, I immediately understand why you like guns. He's like, this is awesome. He's like, this is like a stormtrooper rifle. I was like, you bet your ass it is.
I don't hold many guns.
No, it's a proper weapon, dude. That's a
Yeah.
AR-10 308.
But yeah, back to what Sean had asked. That's how I had gotten into stunt riding.
Yeah.
I had just, and it all ties back into like weed smuggling.
Yeah.
Doesn't it always?
Because here I am, I'm me, and I'm doing what I'm doing, but I also have nationwide connections because I'm traveling coast to coast to do motorcycle stunt shows. So we're going all over the place, and everybody either has weed or they're looking for weed. So it was,
Oh, I've got a great question.
You had the fucking networks from that. It was just like, and you sold weed like locally. Yeah.
In the extreme sports,
It was
a lot of
all
people
set
like
up.
weed,
That's why
so.
I asked the question, because we Pulp Fiction the shit out of
He
this
knew
thing, right?
bikers.
This is what we do here. We fucking go back. We start at the beginning, and we let you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So
totally.
our listeners have to figure it out.
It's because of this weed we smoked right before we record.
Totally.
And Sean routinely shows up half in the bag from a sport.
That's not true.
Well, today you showed
Today
up.
it was true.
Today it was true. I got a great question for you.
Yeah.
I've never asked it.
shoot.
I know mine, 100%. Like, I can feel it down in my plums. That's how much I know it, okay? Do you have, because, like, I don't even know if you have one, but is there a person that's like you saw it and you're like, it clicked and you were like, yep, that's my inspiration. That's for growing weed. Like, who's your inspirational character that made you like, that flipped the button for you and you're like, yep, that's what I want to do with it? That's a good question.
Yeah, man. No, so this dude, he
I'm gonna hit you with some more after too.
unfortunately he passed away in 2011.
Bummer.
Right? We're in 2023. Shit was a long time ago. I never got to sit and like shoot the shit one-on-one with this gentleman, but I'm good friends with the gentleman's son, and I was around here and there while he was around, but through legend and lore, I heard all these insane stories and how he was just like the illest gentleman outlaw.
Wait, is this Greek Spiro from LOL?
No.
Mark's dad knows that.
This man's from southern Humboldt County. His name is Jed Sherman.
That's your hero.
Shit.
Yeah, man. Jed Sherman is my fucking inspiration.
He sounds like a myth.
He is a 71-year-old Mac when he passed away, and at 71 he had brain cancer, but right up until he couldn't do it, he was moving 2,000 pounds a month.
I like him.
Just getting it.
Do you know?
Jed Sherman.
Honest to God, do you want to know who my inspiration is? Nancy bought one from the show Weeds. I'm watching Weeds on Showtime. She's a soccer mom. She's fucking, got the kids and going to practice, whatever, but she's flipping the weed on the side. And then progressively, as the show gets on, she gets deeper and deeper into the game. I mean, that's how it goes with everybody, right?
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, yo, that's my boo. That's who I want to be when I grow up, Nancy Botman. And that's what I tried to do.
Like for
my
me,
life.
For me, it was, I was just around. I was around these dudes, and they're all these born and raised locals. And that's why I was allowed around this older gentleman. I was just hanging around with the right people, and he was there. And what I witnessed, he was just like the coolest, nicest, smooth motherfucker, super long white hair and a ponytail, always just dressed nice, but not like flashing. He's out in the country,
Like farmer
out in the
nights.
hills, like super nice jeans, fucking clean ass boots, like just
Yeah.
really well put together. And what I had witnessed that this gentleman had built for him and his family and his community, because he was big with giving back.
Well, that was big in Humboldt, period. Yeah, that was part of their deal. They were like,
Yeah.
we're going to let you guys grow weed here, but you got to give us, the police, like a ton of money.
And what I witnessed, just really, I was like, man, if that, like what I'm doing right now, I want to be like him when I get older.
right.
He's 71, just living it, doing it, and really enjoying. It seemed that way to me from the outside looking in. It really looked like he was enjoying his life doing what he was doing, and I really wanted to aspire to be like that older gentleman.
Right.
And that's really what I was already doing it. But when I saw him, I was like, man, I gotta get it like this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Rapid fire questions. You have to answer them as fast as possible.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you believe in life after death? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe in reincarnation?
Yes. I do.
What is the probability, percentage-wise? You don't have to give me percentage-wise, just like yes or no. Like, do you think we're living in a digital simulation of a real reality right now?
No.
Okay. Nobody does. Do you think that humans, our species, are a hybrid species with extraterrestrials and,
Yes.
and monkeys?
Yes.
Oh, man. Dan left right at the
Not
wrong
with monkeys.
Yeah, we bear an extreme similarity to the great apes, but something's missing because
Yes,
we're on a podcast right now and they're
We evolved.
throwing poo.
Yeah. Like I think evolution is possible, but I believe that
Somebody tampered with our DNA.
there's other. I feel like there's other beings of some sort out there.
Oh, yeah, ETs exist for sure. But I'm asking if you think that our species has been engineered. No, obviously extraterrestrials exist, Mike. That was the question. No. No, if you think extraterrestrials exist, yes or no is a perfectly good question. And yes is the answer, right?
Yes.
And the answer is that what Giorgio Tsoukalos always says?
Yeah. All right. Google versus Apple.
Google.
Yeah. Good answer. Sega versus Nintendo.
Nintendo.
All right. What's your favorite movie?
Goodfellas.
Nice.
Look at his tattoo.
Favorite rap artist.
Damn.
How about favorite 90s rap artist? Might be the same answer.
Fuck, I don't know.
It's tough. That's a tough
I know.
era.
Like
know.
Snoop Dogg.
All right. I like that.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Ideal Cannabis. You guys are a cultivator. You have your own dispensary, or do you sell to the dispensaries?
Yeah, Ideal Craft Cannabis. We have a cultivation facility in Uxbridge, and the dispensary is located at 199 Main Street in Blackstone, Massachusetts.
And then you guys also sell products to a couple other dispensaries, I'm sure, right?
Correct. First place that you're going to be able to find our products outside of our own store is Nova Farms in Attleboro,
Oh
Massachusetts.
yeah, you were telling me you got into Nova, and we got Nova right in Drake. So sooner or later, they'll have your grow will be available right down the road on 110 in Nova.
Correct. Flagship stores in Attleboro, so they pump everything through there first to see how the sales go.
Oh, for real.
So yeah, man, thanks for coming in. I really appreciate
Oh,
it.
thank you for the time, man. I really appreciate it as well.
You know,
It was great. Great seeing you, Macka. I really appreciate it. It's been too long.
reunion from 10 years old. You guys were friends since 6th grade.
Yeah, man, we played Little League Baseball together on a fucking classic team.
Glad to set it up.
It was the last time I was good at baseball.
Thank you very much, guys.
Hey, get your hooshies off, everybody.